And when we're on campus, I am located at the Canyon Country campus. And I'm so grateful that the program, the Pathway to Law School program, is coordinated by myself and Nicole Fadre, who will be joining us very shortly. She's actually wrapping up another meeting. Nicole's a very busy woman and wears many hats on campus. One of those hats is she is president of our faculty union. And so she's attending other department meetings right now, and she should be here shortly. So, so you'll get to meet Nicole. Nicole is our department chair for paralegal studies, and she is also an attorney herself. So it works out really well that the two of us team up and coordinate this program, because Nicole has all that law experience and expertise. And then with me as a counselor, I can definitely help and share my expertise in regards to academic career planning, transfer requirements, and how to best navigate your roadmap while you're here at COC to get into your transfer university and then eventually into law school. So, so that is my role. And I do have a PowerPoint to share with you. This is our information session for Pathway to Law School. But before we do that, I was hoping, I see that we've got 14 folks on here. And I know with myself and Lynn and Joanna, that's minus 3, so that's 11 students. So I would love if the 11 of you don't mind turning on your cameras if you can for just a brief moment, so I can, I've seen all your name or most of your names and have sent you invitations through, if you've sent a interest survey and you're part of Canvas. If you're not, we're going to talk about that today and get you connected. But I would love to learn just a little bit more about who you are. So if you don't mind, we'll start off by doing brief introductions. If you could share your name and I know you're here because you're interested in law, so we all share that in common. If there's a particular area of law that you're interested in, you could share that with us. If there's anything interesting or fun about you that you'd like to share, a hobby or something new that you've taken up during this quarantine COVID period. And so I'll just share, I'm Liz Shekin, and every year that I work with, I do not have a law background, so I'll share that. But as a counselor and working in this program, I'm very grateful to be part of a pre-law advisors group and learning so much about law school, and bringing that to you and sharing that with you is very exciting for me. Something fun about me is, well, I think it's fun, you might not. I love food, okay? So I love food, I love cooking, I love eating. So it's always exciting for me to break bread with family and friends. So that's me. And just because sometimes people's squares move around, I will just pass the baton over to someone. So I see Marina. So maybe I'll ask Marina to introduce herself. And then Marina, you pick someone else that hasn't introduced themselves. And we'll just go through the group that way. And then we'll get started. And by then, Nicole should probably be here with us to kick off our PowerPoint.
Sounds good. My name is Marina Onaka, and I am the mother of 3. Have always wanted to be a lawyer since I was my daughter's age, and started studying and kind of stopped midway to have a family, open a business. And lately it's just been a little reminder, as my son, who's 16 right now, is looking at colleges, that I never finished that part of my life. So I told my husband, I think it's time for me to kind of go back to that and finish my degree and so on. I talked to Liz about a week ago and got everything done and got into a couple of classes. I needed a science or a bioscience class, and we decided on bioscience 130. And now I realize that I would love to be an environmental lawyer.
That's
so just being in that class for 1 week, it was so inspiring. And so that's who I am.
Awesome.
And I'll pick Rebecca.
Hi, my name is Rebecca. I am also a mom of 3. I have 3 boys, one going off to college next year. So we're currently getting acceptances. It's stressful. Um, other than that, I want to study criminal defense. I want to be a criminal defense attorney for 3 to 5 years, and then I want to flip and go work for the DA. And fun, I don't know. I guess fun is just spare time that I have to myself without the kids.
Yeah. Special moments, right? Time for yourself.
Yes.
Self-care is important as a mom.
Very
a
much
mom
so.
and a student. Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, welcome, Rebecca and Marina. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Who would you like to introduce?
I'll pass it over to Bernice.
Excellent.
My name is Berenice. It's my second semester at CLC. I am the youngest out of all my siblings. I'm 21. On my own time, I love baking and just spending time with my family. Mostly my dogs. I have a lot of dogs and cats. So I do want to get more information on corporate lawyer. But yeah, anything would be fine, really.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you. And I'll choose Jenny.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jenny Striplin. And like our other two people here, I'm a mom of 4 kids. So interestingly, I haven't been to college in almost 20 years. I have the undergrad in psychology, 2 masters in education, and I was at UCLA finishing up a PhD. However, I never started my dissertation. I decided to devote myself to my baby, who's now in college himself. But now it's about time that I kind of focus on a plan for myself. Unfortunately, I've been going through the California divorce process for almost 3 years. So that really pushed me in the direction of wanting to work in family law, particularly with a nonprofit with women who don't have the means to pay for an attorney and to get the protection that they need financially, as well as for their psychological, emotional, and physical safety and well-being, and that of their kids. So I'm very excited to be able to work with everybody today. Thank you. And let's see who I'm going to pick. Let's see. I will go with Clara, please. Clara.
Hello, I am a mom of 4 dogs, and I'm right now currently in the paralegal program. I don't know if family law, that's kind of where I'm headed for. I just want to help people get divorced and be happy again, and I'm not sure what else I'm going to see what I can get out of this class. That's why I'm here for this session.
Welcome. Glad to have you, Clara.
And Mary Beth?
Hi, I'm Mary Beth. I'm the mother of 2 teenage girls. So this bright light on me hides all the gray hair that they are giving me. This is my 3rd time through college. And I'm in the paralegal department. I think what would be a perfect merger of all of my life experience would be something in educational law, or public policy in regards to mental health issues.
Excellent.
Thank you. And I pick Lynn.
Hi, I'm not in this class. My name is Lynn. I work with the Campus Life and Student Engagement Office and one of the coordinators for this event. And it's been really exciting hearing all your stories. I know that this session is being recorded, but I promise that what is uploaded, I will edit out your personal information. So please don't be worried about that. So I'm glad you called on me so that I could say it out loud. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. You want to pick someone else to go?
Sure, I will pick April. April, do you want to go? Or if not, then I will pick Geraldine. I don't think you've gone yet, right?
I'm so sorry, but hello, I'm Geraldine. This is my last semester at COC. Got accepted to Long Beach, so that's where I'm planning on going.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm not sure what I want to do in law just yet, but hopefully I find that out sometime soon. And yeah, that's really all. I haven't picked up anything fun. I mean, I did painting like when the pandemic first started, and I kind of just like fell off of that. But yeah, that's basically it.
Nice. Welcome, Geraldine.
Thank you. I'll pick Vanessa. Hopefully, I don't know if she went yet.
No, I haven't gone. All right, I took off my camera. My name is Vanessa, and I am a mother of 2 kids, and this is my second semester at COC. I was actually in the medical field before, but I think I want to change, transition a little bit. I'm taking criminal justice classes, but I kind of always saw myself as being a lawyer. I always like to defend people, kind of argue back. So I just kind of want to see if it fits for me or not. I just want to get further information to see. Last night, I was like, researching law schools, reviewing, and actually even on YouTube, I think I was doing a few like reviews on how people pass their tests and stuff. So I was just like curious. So yeah, I just want to get further information.
Excellent. Welcome, Vanessa. Who will you pick next? We have a couple more that haven't introduced themselves yet.
Is Lawrence part of it?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so my name is Lawrence. I'm a freshman at COC. I'm not part of this class, nor do I have a background in law. I'm here just because like I just want to get more information about it, see if like I'm vibing with it. I'm majoring in environmental science, so I just heard earlier that an environmental lawyer exists, so maybe that's something I'll find interesting. Fun fact about myself is that I am not a mom.
That's funny. Excellent. Welcome, Lawrence. Glad to have you here. Would you like to pick someone else? We have, I think, 2 more people that.
Who hasn't gone? I think Mona hasn't gone.
I
Okay.
also haven't gone. This is April.
Yes.
Thank you, Lawrence. And you're actually pretty close to pronouncing my name. It's Muna, like the moon.
Oh, beautiful.
I knew I would pronounce it wrong.
Oh, Muna, I think you're muted. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Muna Saksuk. This is my first semester in the paralegal studies program. Like so many of the inspiring women that spoke before me, I've been to school, but I always felt as if something was missing. I've always had the vision of being a lawyer ever since I was a little girl, but life happens and you get distracted. So I got distracted, and I was distracted for half of my life. And I decided that now is the time to actually get focused and go after something that I've always wanted to do. I have a master's in international relations, and maybe the reason why I didn't pursue law any earlier was actually because I was afraid of the possibility of where it was going to take me, because most people who graduate with international relations or political science, that's the route that they take. But now I'm ready to go for it. I'm so excited. A really interesting fact is that I don't know if I'm going to completely finish the paralegal studies here in the US because I got offered educational advancement in the UK. So I'm considering going forward.
That's great.
Thank you. So yeah.
Good for you. Welcome, Muna. Welcome. Would you?
Hi, everybody. I joined the meeting late. I'm sorry.
Oh, welcome, Amanda.
Hi.
We're doing
Hi.
introductions. I'm glad you're
Okay.
here. I think we have maybe
Amanda?
a couple more folks, Rebecca and Amanda and April. If you don't mind, we could start with Amanda and then work our way through Rebecca and then April. If you could introduce yourselves, we're just asking you to share your name, if there's a particular area of law that you're interested, and maybe a fun fact, a hobby or interest that you have.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda. I'm an older student. I just turned 42. I'm an empty nester, and law school is always something I've wanted to do. I worked as a special education advocate in Florida. I have a son with high functioning autism. So just that experience of helping children establish IEPs and advocating for children in the school system. And I was living in the South at the time, by the way, so that was a very big challenge in the South. And I've always wanted to go to law school, so I enrolled at COC, and I'm happy to be a part of the Pathway to Law. I'd like to practice criminal law or special education law.
Excellent.
And my hobbies are reading. I love to read, and I love classic films. And that's me. And I'm also a grandma. So
congratulations. Very
Thank you.
exciting. And welcome, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hear maybe from Rebecca and then April.
You guys already heard from me.
Oh, Rebecca. Oh my gosh, I wrote your name down twice. You're right.
That's okay.
My math is off. I was writing down everybody and I wrote your name down twice. I had you as number 2 and then number 9 again. Sorry.
That's okay. I feel extra special.
You are. Everybody's special for being here. Thank you. So let's hear from April. Last but not least, definitely. And April, I would love, April has been part of our program for a while. And April, this information is our orientation info session. So I know you've attended in the past, but maybe you could share a little bit about your experience in Pathway to Law School so far with our new members too.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I know you guys called my name earlier and I didn't hear, so sorry. I'm April. I am finishing up my last semester of the paralegal program. I am a dual poli-sci major along with my paralegal studies. And I've been part of Pathway to Law School for almost 2 years now. A fun fact about me is I am obsessed with planners, which might seem silly, but it does help me manage everything. I am also the ASG Public Affairs Officer, and I'm planning to practice in civil rights law and also looking into human rights law on the international level.
Excellent, excellent. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much. I think one thing that I think is so valuable about the Pathway to Law School program is that you create these relationships with each other. So you sharing information and introducing each other, I think is very valuable because you're going to support each other through this process. Going to law school is sometimes it may seem a little overwhelming, and the more support and information that you have now, the easier every step is going to be. So I wanted to thank you, first of all, for sharing a little bit about you, and it helps us know a little bit more about what areas, because that can help us guide our activities and events for future. I do have a PowerPoint, so I'm going to share my screen with you. You are welcome to ask questions at any point in time. And just to clarify, some of you said, oh, I'm not part of this class. This really isn't a class, okay? So Pathway to Law School is a support program on campus. And I think the PowerPoint will help share some information. So let's do a share screen. And here we go. Let me see. Can you see my PowerPoint right here? We'll do from beginning. Fabulous. Okay. So we're really excited. Nicole and I co-coordinate the Pathway to Law School program, and we are in our 4th year of the program. So we're still growing and learning. Every year our program grows more and we hear more from our students, and their feedback helps shape the program. So we always are eager and interested to hear from you all. The orientation this evening, we're going to talk about the purpose of the program, benefits and support services, what you can expect of the program and what the program expects of you, and what it means to be a COAF Law Scholar. That's the Council of Access and Fairness. We're going to talk about that. And then we will have time at the end for questions and answers. But if you have questions throughout, you're welcome to just unmute yourself and ask, or put it in the chat, and I'll do my best to monitor the chat as well. So as I shared, our program is in its 4th year, and it really is an initiative that was developed in collaboration with the State Bar of California's Council on Access and Fairness, and with California Law. California Law is our organizing body, and they serve as the liaison between the law schools, our law school partners, and the California community colleges that are partners. And this all was initiated by the State Bar of California's Council on Access and Fairness, because they see that those that are attorneys in California the attorneys in California do not necessarily represent all of the people in California. So they really want to diversify law. And so what better way to diversify the legal profession than to partner with the community colleges, which is the most diverse system of higher education. So we were very pleased when we were given this opportunity to collaborate and become one of the Pathway to Law School programs. There are about 37 California community colleges right now that are part of this partnership. And we are so excited. We have 9 participating law schools that are partners. It started with 6 law schools. And then in the last 2 years, we just had new law schools partner with us because they're seeing the benefits and how this program is growing and the great outreach that's being done to really diversify law, and they wanted to be a part of this. So most recently we had UCLA and UC Berkeley School of Law join within the last 2 years, and then last year Pepperdine just joined on. So we're super excited. The program is known as a 2+2+3, but you can do your numbers any way you want, okay? For those that start at a community college and you're starting your education here, basically that's give or take 2 years, depending on how long it takes you at COC, and then transferring to a 4-year university, because to get into law school, you need your bachelor's degree. And then law school is a 3-year program. Okay. Now we do have a lot of folks, like those of you that introduced yourselves. Some of you have already gone on and you've earned your bachelor's already, and even master's degree programs. And we definitely welcome you in the program as well, because we have a number of students who have already earned their higher ed degrees and now are considering law and have learned about our program and coming back to school to participate in the program. So your numbers, you could put your numbers together however you want. But with that, really the whole purpose of the Pathway to Law School program is to help students navigate that pathway to get into law school. And I'm going to share the support services and resources that we offer. This is the list of our 9 partnering law schools. So we have 4 UC schools, University of California, Berkeley, University of California, LA, UC Irvine, and UC Davis. And then we have 5 private universities. So Loyola Law School, Santa Clara University School of Law, University of San Francisco School of Law, USC Gould School of Law, and Pepperdine, our most recent partner. Nicole actually graduated. She went to law school at Pepperdine. So if you've got questions, I know she is always happy to answer. So those are our partner law schools, and they have been so great because they host events for our students. They have hosted law day events. We've had, and they've been so great in this remote environment. They have opened the doors to Zoom events for our students. I know USC every year has a law day where we used to go to their campus. They did it virtually this year and it was just as successful. But when we would go to their campus, they would welcome us to their law school, and we would sit in on like a first year law student class. Students were given ahead of time a criminal court case to read, and then the instructor facilitated the class just as they would a first year law school. So there you are sitting in the seats of this law school classroom and interacting with the instructor and introduced to the Socratic method of teaching. It was all questions. So like I told you, I have no law background, so it was really interesting for me. The law instructor basically asked a bunch of questions, and that's how the whole class went based on that criminal court case. And it was really great. Our students did amazing. They were very impressed with the quality of responses that our students answered and participated with. And then we got a tour of the law school. They had a panel of their admissions team, their dean was there welcoming our students. And so it's a great networking opportunities where students get to meet the deans of these law schools, and they had law students there and their alumni. So really networking is a big part of the Pathway to Law School program. And I'll share a little bit more about events in one of the next slides. But those are our 9 partner law schools, okay? And I'm going to share a brief video that was put together by California Law. So hopefully our volume works okay and we can hear this.
I grew up in a rural community in the South, and you see the way people struggle for legal services. The legal services representation in the South is so, there's not a lot of it. I took government, English, and math classes at Grayson County Community College. It was probably the first time that I had the opportunity to see the kind of intellect that is in every level of education, and it encouraged me to pursue higher education.
Going to community college while I was in high school was a fantastic experience. It exposed me to a lot of higher level curricula that, you know, is not necessarily available to your average high school student. I was able to meet a lot of very interesting professors who, you know, truly encouraged me to do the best that I could and inspired me. Having chosen philosophy as my major, you know, I learned a lot about ethics and theories of justice, and I think that's ultimately what drove me to an interest in the law. I think the fact that the Chief Justice, Tanisaka Uye, went to community college just goes to show that community college is not something that holds you back, but is actually something that can give you a leg up on being really successful in your future career.
I became introduced to community college because in my senior year in high school, I had enough credits to leave early, but I stayed on for other projects when I was at Sacramento City College and I enrolled in the speech and debate team. And great unknown, I never stood up and talked to people and debated people, and community college offered that kind of opportunity to find out things about yourself. So I joined, and when I was in speech and debate, I learned, lo and behold, this is fun and I enjoy it. And people started to encourage me to go to law school when I was in Sacramento City College.
I love being a public defender because our job is to help people. And every day we have the opportunity to help people in the most difficult circumstances receive justice. You have to be a person who understands what it's like to experience injustice. And so it's probably no surprise that in our office we have 50% minorities, almost 60% women. So a big part of being able to be effective at what you do means that you have to really come from those communities. I had the opportunity to be the commencement speaker at UC Hastings Law School, where I graduated from 26 years ago. And one of the things I talked about is how City College made a difference for me, because I was one of those kids that wasn't slated for success. And it was really through City College, through sort of working my way up the ladder the hard way, that I was able to become a lawyer.
I was born in Saigon, Vietnam, and I came to the United States at about the age of 17. Prior to that, I also lived in Laos, as well as Belgium and Germany. So English is actually my third language. I decided to attend community college because, frankly, that was the only realistic and practical option for me, as community college was affordable and also flexible enough to accommodate my schedule, because I was still working full-time when I enrolled and throughout my college career.
Hello, and my name is Judge Robert Tafoya, and I am a judge at the Kern County Superior Court, and I'm a graduate of Ventura Community College. Yeah, when I was 5 years old, I started out working in the fields as a water boy. The beauty of the law is, at least for me, is it allows me to serve my community. Stephen Peck, in his book, The Road Less Traveled, defines love as giving the best of yourself for the benefit of the welfare of another human being. That's what love is. And in my role as a lawyer, I was able to advocate for people. As a judge, I make decisions that I deem to be in the best interest of the litigants who appear before me.
Attending law school, I never find wasted. I'm not afraid to open up the code of education. I am not afraid to ask questions, and I'm not afraid to say, this is a decision I've made, and this is why. And that's something that one learns in law school. So there are a number of individuals that have attended law school, maybe have practiced for a while, maybe not. Individuals such as President Obama, Michelle Obama, both of them leaving their print on the world. There are others at the state level in California, Governor Jerry Brown and Ann Gust. Again, individuals that may have practiced, maybe aren't practicing currently, but they are affecting policy in the state of California. There are numerous individuals such as that are CEOs of corporations, owners of businesses.
I spent my entire career at Pacific Gas and Electric Company. I started September 15, 1972. The first 17 years there was in the legal department. The last 17 years, so a total of 34 years at PG&E, the last 17 years were on the business side. So after I was fortunate enough to argue and win a case for PG&E, United States Supreme Court, the only lawyer still in the history of PG&E, and PG&E is well over a century old, to argue and win a case for it. I decided that I did not want to hurt my record by remaining in law and perhaps having to argue another case and may not win. I decided that it was time to shift to the business side of the house.
I feel like my biggest challenges while I was in school were economics. I mean, I was just poor. I don't know how to dance around it, but I didn't have a lot of money and I didn't have a lot of support. And so my biggest challenge was, it's interesting now because it's one of the things that at the time that I was experiencing the process, I was so embarrassed about it and didn't want anyone to know. But I lived in my car and I went to law school. And it was really interesting, that process for me, because at the time I was president of my class. And I was so concerned about people knowing that I was poor or that I didn't have any money or didn't have a place to stay that I never told people.
Studies have indicated that students who have started at a community college do just as well or better than native students in a four-year university. And studies also have indicated that students that began their college level work at a community college do as well in law school as students that have started or came from a four-year university.
In the grand scheme of your life, 3 years is a small investment for the riches that law school will promise. And I don't mean coin of the realm. I really mean that law school teaches a person how to think critically in a very different way than you learn in college. Further, with a law degree, you have so many open avenues of advancement. You may, in fact, use it to be an attorney and to actually litigate or be in a courtroom or do research or work on contracts. But you also might use your law degree to be an advisor to the mayor and become the mayor one day yourself, or to be a legislator. And most governors have been lawyers and they haven't practiced. It is a way to teach you to think critically. And when you bring that way of thinking critically, you'll be an invaluable asset to whatever discipline you choose.
Okay. So that video, I hope, just gives you a little taste of the pathway to law school and its purpose and value. And you could see that a lot of these attorneys and judges started their careers at a community college. And statistics have shown that community college students do just as well in law school and when they transfer to the 4-year. Before we go to the next slide, I noticed that there was a question in the chat asking for clarification of the 2 + 2 + 3. So I just wanted to clarify the 2 at the start is being at COC, doing your freshman, sophomore level coursework to transfer to a 4-year university. Now that 2 years, depending on you and your life journey and how many units and courses you could take a semester, that could take 2 years, it could take 3 or longer. It really, there's no like definite formula for every student. So yours could be 2 years, it could be less, it could be more. And then the second 2 in that formula is the 4-year university, transferring to get your bachelor's degree. So usually when students transfer to a 4-year university to complete their bachelor's, they do half of that work at the community college, and then they complete the second half at the 4-year university to get the bachelor's. And then the last 3 represents law school. Law school is 3 years. It's a 3-year program. Okay. Yes, Amanda, you have a question?
Yes, I just wanted to know your opinion on the non-ABA accredited law schools out there, like Trinity and all of that, because I know a lot of them will accept students that have an associate's degree. They actually, or they'll accept students that even don't, as long as you do well on the LSAT.
Yes.
But I know you're limited to only practicing in the state of California. But I was wondering what your thoughts are on that to kind of expedite getting to law school instead of going to the 4 years. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so I think this would be a great question to ask Nicole. My perspective is I think it really depends on where you want to practice law, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were interested in going to like a top, law firm, then it would be, you'd probably want to go to an ABA approved program.
Mm-hmm.
However, depending on your interest area and what your sole purpose is, then a non-ABA program is fine too. Because you're right, some of the non-ABA do not require the bachelor's degree.
Right.
So ultimately, it just kind of really depends on where you see yourself, what area of law, and who you want to work for. And I think that question, because Nicole, is the legal law expert with her background, let's ask her that when she comes in too, to get her perspective. But that's a great question. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny, you had a question, or your hand is up?
Yes, I do, Liz. I read over the requirements to be a pathway to law student. And although it's possible, again, I did ordered our transcripts to be sent over to COC. But by looking over all those classes, again, I'm pretty sure I took philosophy or critical thinking, statistics. Would there be any sort of a negative if I really wanted to spend the next 2 years at College of the Canyons, completely immersed in the Pathway to Law program and taking all those classes again? Because again, it's been such a significant time period being away from school. I wanted to hear your thoughts and ideas on that plan.
That's a good question. And your classes do not expire, okay? And in one of the upcoming slides, we're going to talk about the program requirements. So it is totally up to you. I think we might want to do a little bit of research and ask those law schools how they're going to view those repeats, okay? If they're the same exact course. I know some law schools may not honor the most recent. They'll take your first attempt, okay? Because when they're looking at law schools are looking at your predominantly your undergraduate GPA, your bachelor's degree GPA, okay, and your LSAT scores together. So I might say, you know, like if you were interested in maybe doing the paralegal program and taking new sets of courses, I think, you know, that may benefit you more. And just because then you're learning more about the area you're interested in pursuing, right? And as a lawyer, you're
Absolutely.
working side by side with your paralegals. So I don't know if you really need to repeat, you know, statistics. I don't know if that's going to make you a better lawyer, you know?
I'm repeating English 101, Jenny. So I'm doing the whole entire curriculum that they recommend for Pathway to Law, and I had already taken English 101. So I'm repeating that and statistics as well. So
okay, that's really good to hear, because again, I don't even know if I remember how to write a very, I'm kind of joking, but I write about play dates. Do you want to meet at the park?
Right.
I'm really just being facetious, but really, I don't know. I just kind of got excited about immersing myself there. So I do like, I didn't get a chance to see her name, but I appreciate you sharing that. So at least that's good to know that I do have the option available then, right?
Yeah, because I mean I'm doing it, and it's been since 1999, since I was in college. And English 101, critical writing, thesis writing, it's all changed. So I'm really glad that I'm retaking the course, because a lot of things have changed. The way of writing. I didn't have to write in certain styles, the research styles that my professor wants me to write now. Which is good, because it's gonna help us when we get to law school, because they teach you how to write properly and how to, you know, critical think. Because I mean, I'm 42, so it's been a while since I'd been in school.
Oh, wonderful, Amanda. I graduated from undergrad in 95, and I'm going to be turning 47. So I'm even older than you. So I'm so glad that you were here today and able to share that, because yes, I haven't written anything in a long time. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, and I'm glad I did. It's really helped a lot, and it's really I always felt I've been a strong writer, but it's always good to kind of brush up on the new, you know, the new ways of writing, and you know, the format that the professors wanted in nowadays. And I think once we get in law school, the writing's going to be totally different anyways. But at least it's a pathway to teach us how to kind of catch up with the times and the way things are done now.
Excellent advice. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Amanda. That's a good point with writing. And what I would suggest, maybe we might want to meet one-on-one to kind of look at your record before you consider repeating everything, you know?
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
so that might be good. And I think we have a meeting set up soon.
We do in March. Yes.
Opportunities.
I'll write that down on my notes. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah. So great questions. Moving on, I wanted to share this slide here talks about what you can expect of the program. Okay, so you get Nicole and I, and at any time you are welcome to email us. Those of you that have completed the interest survey, you should have access to the Canvas shell. So, and those of you who are considering, or you're on the fence, I don't know if I want to join the program or not, there's nothing to lose. You don't have to finish the required curriculum to be part of the program, but I would encourage you if you're interested in law or any aspect of the legal profession, definitely join it, because you could still participate in our workshops, our events, and benefit from the networking aspect of it. So if you have questions, you can always reach out to us. There are opportunities for mentorship, like I was sharing earlier. Nicole, as an attorney, has contacts in the legal profession, so oftentimes students have requested mentors, and she is able to pair you up with a judge or a lawyer in the particular area that you're interested in. We have a number of different extracurricular pre-law activities. during the winter, Chapman School of Law, their Fowler School of Law hosted the Winter Institute. It was a 5 or 4 week program. Every Friday of the month of January, we met for 2 hours. And basically what they did was they helped students really dive in and understand how to prepare their applications for law school. So how to put together your personal statement for law school, your law school resume, preparing for the LSAT exam, asking for letters of recommendations. And so there are opportunities like that. We've had panel speakers. Last semester, we had our very own alumni share their experiences. We have one that is in the process of applying to law school. She was part of the LEAP Fellowship Program, which is a program that helps prepare students and pairs them up with the first year with a law student and an attorney. And they go through and really prepare you for the whole law school application process and understanding how to use the LSAC and get your law school applications ready. So we had Cindy Rivas, who completed that program. She shared her experience, and she's already been admitted to some law schools for the fall. We're very excited for her. And then we had one of our alums who completed the Pathway to Law School program, who was in her first year at Hastings, the School of Law. So we have
such a good school.
Yeah, it's so exciting to hear. So that's another thing too. We can pair you up with our alumni who have been through your shoes and can share their experiences with you. We also have, so the Canvas shell is how Nicole and I can most easily communicate with you. We post all of our events and activities onto the Canvas site. And through the Pathway to Law School program, about 2 years ago, California Law partnered with the Khan Academy to create a free LSAT review course for the law school admissions test. And this is available and accessible to all students. Those LSAT review courses, the private courses, are very expensive. And so really to make it equitable and accessible to all students, this was a big priority for California Law and the Pathway to Law School program. And it's been, I've heard great reviews. They actually consulted with individuals who work for LSAC, the Law School Admissions Council, who developed the LSAT exam. And they helped collaborate with the Khan Academy to create the LSAT review course through Khan Academy. So that is available and accessible to you. And we have links to that directly off of the Canvas site. And then internships or service learning opportunities. They've been a little scarce now because of COVID, but that is something too, as volunteer opportunities arise. We post that on campus. Now, as a Pathway to Law School student, all of the participating law schools will waive the application fee. So if you decide to apply and you complete our Pathway to Law School program, the required 7 courses, which we'll talk about in the next couple slides, then you will indicate that you are a Pathway to Law School completer, a law scholar, and they will waive the application fee. And then some of the participating law schools, it's not a guaranteed admission, but they want to know that you've been part of the program, and some schools may provide like priority admission. I think, April, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to shout out some of the opportunities, like the internships and the pre-law activities are awesome. Like I went to the LSAC, forgetting the exact name of it, but it was like, there was like 50 to 60 law schools there. They like talked about the LSAT. They talked about like how it is to, how expensive it is and how you can pay for it. And just all those events are really good for networking. And I think sometimes we feel like it's not like we can't go to it because we're not there yet. Yeah, and they're free, definitely, Nicole. But just so you know, like it's never too early to start planning for it. Like I'm starting the LSAT right now, and I'm not taking it for another 1.5 years because it would be better to take it early so I can retake it if needed, than to take it too late and not be able to retake it. So like, don't feel because you're not anywhere near your bachelor's that you can't participate.
the networking will stick with you for those years, and it's like extremely amazing information to have. And if, yeah, I just wanted to shout out the program.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, April. And yay, I see Nicole's here. You snuck in. I didn't even see you come in.
I'm super sneaky. I'm sorry I'm late, everybody. I had competing Zooms. I sincerely apologize. Liz, you want me to do the rest of it since you've been talking for 50 minutes?
Oh, no, you don't have to do the rest, but you can do the next slide if you want.
Sure, I'm happy to, whatever it is.
Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, so program expectations. So we obviously have expectations for you guys, and that is that you take the courses that Liz is going to go over. You meet with Liz to verify your education plan and create that special student education plan, and that you, if you are able to participate in those mentoring activities that she described, those pre-law activities that April also described, counseling as needed, internships, hopefully as the restrictions on employment and businesses being open to the public, there'll be more internship opportunities forthcoming. Some of the more ticky-tacky legal things that the law schools wanted us to make sure that we have in our agreement and let you know is that you have to be a student in good academic standing and that you have never been on probation or suspended because of a student conduct issue. Now, even though that's the rule, you guys, if you study law, will learn very soon that there's always exceptions to the rule. So we have students who have successfully argued to California law to have that portion be waived for them. Maybe they were on academic probation very early in their educational career and they've made an incredible turnaround, and they have been successful. So while that's the rule, you do have to ask for it, and there's an application process and all of that, but it is something that you can take advantage of. Liz, if you'll go to the next one.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Excellent. You want to make sure that none of you are ever removed from the college for academic misconduct or unlawful misconduct. These things we don't expect anyone ever to have occur. They're there because you'll have a difficult time getting admitted to a law school and then becoming a lawyer if you've had some of these issues. It's not a never ever, it just makes it more difficult. So we're letting you know that this upfront, so there isn't false hope. Again, we haven't had any of these, and knock on wood, we never will in the future, but it's one of those requirements, so we're letting you know.
Thanks, Nicole.
Absolutely. I'm going to answer Sandra's question about law schools looking at credit, no credit. So they really look at your GPA. And obviously credit, no credit, Liz, it doesn't figure into your GPA at all. So that might be good if things have been particularly difficult during the pandemic. The law schools, like 4 years, are very understanding of the uniqueness of what's happening, right? It has never happened in any of our lifetime. The last one was over 100 years ago. So if you continue to do credit, no credit for the next 4 years, I don't know if that's going to be allowed, but that might look a little interesting, shall we say. But it's not a deal breaker at all, because again, it's a balancing act. It's your GPA, it's your LSAT, it's your personal statement, and your diversity statement, should you submit one. So it's a balancing act of all of those things. But yes, the two major things that law schools look at are your GPA and your LSAT. And all the other things are cream or icing or something like that. So when absent for your accredited university, accredited law school, I'm a little confused on this question. Liz, did you get that question already in the chat?
Sorry, Liz, I probably asked that incorrect.
Oh, you know what? Are you asking about what I think it was Amanda asked earlier?
Yeah, the non-ABA law schools I was asking about. I wanted to know what your opinion was on, because I know a lot of the non-ABA law schools will accept you with an associate's degree or even without, as long as you do well on the LSAT. So I wanted to ask what your opinion was. I know you can only practice in California if you go to one of those schools, but I'm interested in criminal law or special education law. So I wanted to know your opinion on, because I'm actually thinking about just going straight from here to one of the non-accredited. So I just wanted to know what you thought about that.
So I think you've covered most of the major points that you want to continue to stay in the state of California, that there won't be reciprocity to another state. California doesn't have reciprocity with any state. So even if you pass the bar, it's not like there's a guarantee of admission elsewhere. But you could try if you go to an ABA approved school. To go to a California bar approved school, it really depends upon what you want to do. It's not for everybody, but it may be for you. So you have to look at that. The one thing that I want to caution you is I want you to go look up the bar pass rate for the students who've graduated from that school. And
okay.
Scary. So scary low. So
it is scary low. Is that for all of the non-ABA?
Look them up. So just Google California bar pass rate for Glendale College of Law or San Fernando College of Law, the ones that are ABA that are kind of in our area that you might be considering. And, you know, and go talk to them and tell them about your concerns and what your ideas and suggestions are. Maybe they have an alumni that you can talk to, somebody who's graduated who does special ed law or criminal law that you could chat with and about their experience and their process. But it's not for everyone, for sure.
And then may I just ask, will, like say I want to, you know, become a public defender to start out, or, you know, work for a very, you know, kind of not a very well-known firm, will that frown upon me because I went to a non-ABA approved accredited school?
You will find it more difficult to find employment. So
I will. Okay, yeah. That's good. Okay, then that answers my question.
Yeah. and it's not a never and it's not an always, right? So it just means if you go to an ABA, more things are available to you, right? If you go to a California bar, less things are available to you. Is it you could never get an assistant DA? No. I'm sure it's possible, but I'm just being honest.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to, I think it was Sandy asked a question about the pass, no pass. I would encourage you before you do anything pass, no pass right now, because rules are changing with COVID. If we, you know, connect with me, let's really figure out which courses you're thinking of, because some schools have allowed more grace than others with the pass, no pass if you're planning to use that for transfer. So for example, if you were considering transferring to a UC school, we were told that the UCs will only honor the pass no pass during COVID from spring 20, summer 20, and fall 20, and that was it. So they were not going to push it. Oh no, did I say fall? We just finished fall 20. Yeah, so they're not, oh no, some schools are not even using fall 20. Their grace was, I don't think the UCs were honoring it for fall of 20, but Cal State's were. So let's just, I would recommend before, you know, maybe let's just look at that your personal goal and what you want to do for credit, no credit, if you're using it for the bachelor's for transfer. And then I think these questions might be, what else was on here? Oh, let's talk about the classes, because I think Rebecca was asking about Math 140 versus 100. So with the Pathway to Law School program, this is an MOU. So there's a memo of understanding between the partner law schools and what they would like students to take at the community college to complete the curriculum piece of the Pathway to Law School, because they feel that these courses will, you know, help prepare students best for law school. So you'll see on here, there are 7 courses listed with an M, which is mandatory. The courses on the left are mandatory, and those are required to complete the Pathway to Law School requirements. So that's Paralegal 101, Introduction to Law, your English 101, and English 103, or you could substitute any of the critical thinking IGETC English courses, such as Comms 227 or English 112. Statistics is a mandatory one. So if you are taking Math 100 now, you will need statistics to become a law scholar to complete the program, okay? We do accept statistics from the psych department or the sociology department or the business department or the Math 140. And then other required courses are the argumentation, Comms 225, and American Government, Political Science 150, and US History. We have History 111 listed here, but we could substitute any of our US History courses that meet the American Institutions requirement for graduation. We will, Pathway to Law School will honor AP exam scores of a 3 or higher for the English 101 and statistics as well, okay? So those are the mandatory courses. The courses with the R are highly recommended. So student success, our counseling 150 course, the legal ethics, paralegal 107, and then the internship, the COAF 188. Those are highly recommended. So any questions? I see a few questions have populated into the chat. So I think Mary Beth, you said thank you so much. It was, oh, you've got class. Totally get it. I know we're going a little bit over here. But with that, I know we want to honor time. Maybe we'll just go ahead and finish. There's just 2 more slides. I think Nicole already alluded to this. I would love to meet with each of you so we could develop your comprehensive educational plan. There's many ways to get to one place. So for law school, law exists in all different disciplines, and you could be any major. There's not one path. So we want to make sure that depending on your interests, your goals, that you've got the right classes set up to meet your admission requirements to the transfer university, or for those of you that already have your bachelor's, what you could maximize while you're at COC to get into law school. So I am happy to meet with you so we can make sure you've got all the courses. And then this last slide, basically, what does it mean to become a COAF Law Scholar? So once you complete all the 7 mandatory courses, the required courses, we will have you apply to petition for your COAF Law Scholar designation. We do have a petition form in the Canvas shell, and that you would basically just verify I'm completing the courses by this spring. You sign a waiver that allows us to share your name with California Law. They have a database where they will store your name. So once Nicole and I verify that you've met all the requirements, we verify that you've been in good academic standing, and we verified with our dean that you haven't had any misconduct on campus, then we will forward your name to California Law, and they create a very nice certificate and mail it to us. And then we send that to you, and you could officially state that you are a law scholar when you apply to law school. Those of you that are transferring to 4-year universities, the UCs, on the UC application, there is a question on the application under extracurricular activities that says, were you a part of the California Law program? And you can mark, yes, you are. And even if you don't complete the program, you can still mark that you are a member of the program, absolutely. And so we want you to self-identify to those law schools that you did complete the Law Scholar program at your community college, and then they will verify with California Law. Your name will be on record with California Law. Now, something very exciting as of this fall 2020, thanks to Nicole, she has submitted to curriculum for our Pathway to Law School program to become recognized through COC as a certificate of achievement. So not only will you get recognized through California Law, we'll also want you to petition for your certificate of achievement, and that will be designated on your COC transcript when you go through that petition process. And that's something that I can help you with, and we do that during one of our counseling meetings. And then before you leave COC, we ask that we schedule a one-on-one to do an exit meeting. And then that allows me to, we have a brief survey that we share with all of our law scholars just to get information about, what worked, what recommendations you have for future, for the program as it grows. And then I capture all your information, your personal email, mailing address, so that I can mail your certificate to you from California Law once we get them, okay? So that is an overview of the Pathway to Law School program. I know there are lots of questions in there, but that's the PowerPoint that we have that we wanted to share with you. And I think if you need to leave, I know some of you have class at 6, you are welcome to go, but we want to make sure that we get to your questions. So I'll open it up. I'll stop sharing so we could see your lovely faces. There's everybody, and we'll go through and answer questions.
Hey, Liz, I've been asked answering, I can't even talk, some questions in the chat.
Oh, you're awesome.
Some students are, do we have to take all the paralegal classes? And Sandy and Bernice are both asking me about that when they look at their map. And maps out your courses based on what you've declared your major or the degree you're working toward or certificate. So I just thought that, you know, sometimes it'll tell you have to take these classes if you said I'm a paralegal student. And if you change it to Pathway of Law, then the classes that are, it changes, right? I mean, you can only have one major at a time, I think, through that.
Well, we could actually declare more, but we would need to do that in order to change or update your major. Like you could definitely be paralegal and Pathway to Law School because there's a certificate and an associate's degree.
Right.
And we have students with multiple majors. We could definitely have more than one. We just want to make sure it's accurate. So if you did want to add the Pathway to Law School, just shoot me an email, give me your student ID number, and I can definitely go into our student system and update that. That way it'll be reflected on maps. Yeah, and you can send that to me privately. You don't have to put it into the chat. So it would be best maybe if you email it to me. That way it's liz.shaker@canyons.edu. So I'll just put my email into the chat.
Perfect.
And then that way it doesn't disappear when I log off of Zoom. I have it in my email and can do that for sure.
And so Bernice, that should help you figure out which ones you actually have to take if you're really only interested in the pathway and you have a different major. So thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate that. It's great information.
That helped a lot. Thank you.